In this video, we're going to discuss a free-to-play meta team killer brought to you by one of my subscribers, B. Doran, and we're going to maybe answer the question, is Artemis better than Keira?
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Herowarscentral, and in today's video, we're going to talk about a free-to-play team, or mostly free-to-play, I should say, that is very similar to a lot of other popular physical teams out there, but it is using a very underappreciated, underutilized hero that you do get day one from the campaign. And because of the nature of this team, it is about as close to a competitive free-to-play team as you can get. First of all, let's talk about the heroes. So you have Astaroth as a tank, you have Ching Mao, Thea as the healer, you have Artemis as the main damage dealer, and then you have Sebastian. Sebastian being the most difficult hero to get in this team, in this pack of heroes. However, if you're playing on Facebook or web, you can get Sebastian easily from the hero chest on the 28th day of the month. And if you're on mobile, once every 3 to 6 months, there is a Sebastian event, including one later this month, in the month of September, where you have an opportunity to get Sebastian Soulstones as well. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to fight the top 5 or 6 teams on defense in Arena on my server, server 25. So it's an older server. And we're going to see just how effective this is as I'm talking through the team. There are some big reasons to use this team over the Keira Blender team, the quote-unquote Keira Blender team, or other physical attacking teams. Most importantly is the cost and time investment involved, all right? So here, let's talk about some of the pros. It's way cheaper than the Blender. And the Blender, by Blender, I mean the Anvari, Keira, Sebastian Jet core of Keira teams. Okay, now not only do you not need Anvari for this team to be effective, okay, since Artemis provides her own critical hit stat, you don't need Jet. Jet's very difficult to get. It takes a long time to level up once you do get him, and it doesn't necessarily require Nebula, which is in some variants. And Nebula you can only get by being pretty far along in the Tournament of the Elements or in the Silver Leagues on mobile. All right, so you can get Astaroth from the campaign. You can get Ching Mao from the Outland vendor, which that opens up relatively early in the game. You get Artemis day one. You can start collecting her soulstones day one. Same with Thea. You get Thea day one. So really, all you need to do is use 3 of the 5 heroes you get day one. Unlock Outland. Start buying Ching Mao stones, and then get Sebastian at the end of the month, or later on this month on mobile. For those of you that are unaware on how and why this combo is effective, let's quickly go through it together. So Artemis, as the primary damage dealer, does physical attack damage, and she does critical hits as well as providing her own armor penetration. A lot of damage dealers don't provide their own armor penetration, and even more of those heroes don't have critical hit as a stat. And it's kind of rare for a damage dealing hero to have both critical hit and armor penetration. And with Artemis's skins, she has both, as well as her glyphs. So by herself, Artemis is a total package damage dealer. If her skills were just slightly better, she would probably surpass Keira, Kark, and others as a top damage dealing hero. But what it is Artemis does provide a lot of area of effect damage with her ultimate, with her green ability. She provides some control in the form of her blue ability that will blind the front line of enemy teams. This is how she easily defeats a lot of the enemy Keira teams, the enemy Kark teams, enemy teams that have Ching Mao or Galahad up front. And of course, her Violet ability provides a ton of additional damage over time as the fight goes on. Of course, we all know how effective Astaroth is as a tank. He is probably the best overall tank for general purpose tanking teams. There are better tanks in certain situations, but having his Violet ability, Last Word, reviving a teammate once per fight is incredible, especially if you have a squishy damage dealer like Artemis taking a lot of damage, or in the case of enemies that attack the backline, the Thea on your team. And let's talk about Thea. Let's talk about Thea a little bit. Thea is an underrated healer now that Martha has hit the scene. Some people think that she doesn't heal as much, and while that is true, Thea excels at healing quickly. Martha does more healing over time, but Thea heals quickly. That means, she's got fast heals that trigger often. She also will silence the enemy team, which is incredibly effective at slowing down magic damage dealing teams like the Twins or ODH, even though this team isn't very effective against ODH. And then, her second wind ability, increasing her speed of all allies, is fantastic whenever you're dealing with high damage output heroes like an Artemis. The rest just kind of makes sense. First of all, you have the first supporting hero of Qingmao, and Qingmao excels at providing armor debuffs for the enemy team. I should say armor penetration for your team. She provides armor penetration for your team, but she's also a counter tank specialist. She's really big on doing a ton of damage to the front of the enemy team. Very, very effective damage dealer. And like I said, she's got that armor penetration artifact. You have Sebastian, who loves critical hit heroes, and Artemis is one of the 5 to 6 critical hit heroes in the game right now. It's a natural pairing. Sebastian is even better on Facebook than he is on mobile, but this team is just as effective on mobile as it is on Facebook. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about some of the upsides. You don't need Keira's winter skin. Keira's winter skin on Facebook is incredibly difficult to get, considering you can only get it during the Winterfest event. On mobile, of course, there's no issue, and you can get Keira's armor penetration skin at any time. I already mentioned that you don't need Anvari. You don't need him. You could. You could probably build this team very similar to the Keira Blender team using Jet and Dorian. It couldn't hurt, but you don't need them in order for this team to be effective. It's a little stronger versus the Twins, this team, because Thea has her team silence, and those Twins matchups that you have trouble with, just toss in Rufus, and you can see a Twins fight that I do later on where I just throw in Rufus, and I all of a sudden am able to beat the Twins. So a lot of fun there. It is a not an auto win against the Twins, much like the Keira teams are not an auto win versus the Twins, but it's a little stronger versus them than the Keira team is. And one of the last upsides is that Artemis is safer near the back. Keira is in that second position. Kark is in that second position. With Keira being so close to the front, she often gets a lot of splash damage. She often is susceptible to those enemy Jorgens to slow you down. But with Artemis being near the back, she's a lot safer. She doesn't get blinded by enemy foxes and teams, counter heroes such as that. So in that regard, it is a little nicer. Some of the downsides, though, just like any other critical hit damage dealer, very weak to Helios. So most Orion, Dorian, Helios teams are an auto lose facing this team. You just can't do it. There's probably a way to beat him. I tried it with Rufus. I tried it with a couple other things. The rank 6 fight that we'll see a little bit later on in this video is an example of not being able to beat ODH teams. Of course, there's Aurora and Sebastian on that team as well. And you need a lot of skins leveled up in Artemis to get her as strong as Keira. A lot of her critical hit stat, a lot of her armor penetration stat comes from skins. And while you do need to level up Keira's skins, just like you would need to level up Artemis's skins, Artemis has 4 and Keira only has 3, yet Keira is already still a pretty strong hero to use. So just a fun little team. I mentioned earlier that B Doran, one of my subscribers and a really big friend to the community, came up with this probably a little while ago, and I hadn't really given it much attention until recently. But the whole point of this video is to just discuss how a couple of things. First of all, Artemis is probably outshined by some of the more popular heroes, but that doesn't mean that she's not good. And, there are different teams that you can go with. And would this team be better with the support of maybe Anvari or Jet or Dorian? Maybe. But they would cost a lot more. It would take a lot longer to build. this team can be basically done by the end of your first month of playing. And because of that, I think this is one of the better free-to-play teams that you can build, especially if you're a free-to-play player and you keep missing these events, especially if you're a Facebook player, I should doubly say. That would make this a whole lot easier. I apologize for missing the free-to-play Friday video last weekend. Things kind of got a little crazy with the holiday and, of course, interviewing the community manager. So I hope this video makes up for it. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned to my live streams every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Right. I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.